There's something about being seen and heard, and for someone to put in song what you've endured. Hey everybody, welcome to the Ultimate YouTube channel. It's your girl, Rosalie. This is so freaking powerful. Guess what time it is. Let's keep this short and simple. I'm nervous. I'm anxious because I'm not sure what this is about. Oliver Anthony, he went viral. What was it, about a year ago? He put out his song, Richmond North of Richmond. So to be scornful means to feel or show deep contempt or disrespect for someone or something, often with a strong feeling of mockery or disapproval.
Well, she got a side to her I wanna run from. She'll turn a warm afternoon into a cold, cold one. Well,
His voice.
grabbed the apple and Adam took a bite. And now all these years later, and the mask still ain't right with a scornful woman. Scornful woman. I used to sleep so good, didn't have a nightmare. I was busy dreaming, believing he's always gonna be right there. And now the middle of the day is like the middle of the night, and the court says 50-50, but the math don't seem right with a scornful woman. Scornful woman.
So much soul. Woo!
She can have all the money, and they can keep all the fame. I go back to being broke as a joke if I could just get a break from the pain.
Man, that was soulful. There was so much emotion in this one. So much pain and grit. It was crazy to see him put in that piece of wood, that log, into the fireplace, and it all ended up with the whole house being burnt down. And I think that's very poetic or very symbolic, because him feeding the fireplace, the heater, the whatever it's called, I can't think right now of the right word, may be symbolic for him trying to provide, him trying to keep the fire going, him trying to take care of everybody and keep the home warm, but it all ending up in flames, and the song being called Scornful Woman, and it being about 50-50, maybe implying that that house fell apart, right? He was trying to provide, he was trying to feed the home, maybe keep the love alive, maybe keep everybody warm and taken care of and provided for. And this scornful woman is trying to take all of it. And now there's talk of divorce, of 50-50, splitting everything up, and everything's burned to the ground. And what was supposed to be, perhaps, my interpretation, a symbol of provision, warmth, taking care of, feeding, nurturing, turned into destruction and complete despair. And I could see a lot of men feeling very seen by this, men who've been through divorce, men who have lost custody unrightfully, men who have been felt betrayed. I know a lot of people have been able to, a lot of men particularly, have felt seen through songs like Dax's song, To Be a Man or A Real Man. And I can only imagine a lot of men relate to this. It's tricky for me as a woman to respond to this because obviously everyone's going to have a different opinion, and there's going to be those who may even feel like I have no business talking on this subject because I'm a woman. And then there's also those who are hurt so much so by a woman or women in their life that anything I say will be looked at through that lens of hurt, bitterness, perhaps. I'm not sure what to say because life's complicated, life's hard, and I know that there are women like that out there who are scornful and have contempt and are malicious and don't care, and who will manipulate or spin stories where the man is left with nothing. And hurt people. That comes from their hurt, maybe having never been role modeled how to be a wife, how to be a mother. I think the reason why this is so sensitive for me and tricky, and I'm not sure what to say, is anything I say, I feel, could be taken as, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a woman, so you have no business speaking on this topic. I could see some people looking at it from that lens. I could see, if I say anything from the female's perspective, men saying this was not about the woman, you're making it about you again. Now, I will say that I have noticed on both sides of the spectrum, you could have a song for women or about women's situation, and certain men will chime in and say, what about us? And you have the same vice versa, a song that is meant for men and about men suffering and pain, and a woman chiming in going, what about us? I think the only reason why it's personal to me is because I have seen situations where a woman was referred to as the nagging wife, as the Bible verse warns against, or as a scornful woman. And there was not a lot of conversation about what led her there. Feeling dismissed, feeling belittled, betrayed, cheated on, were nagging, not to be nagging, but because they were hurting, a cry for help, a plea to connect, to communicate. And when men haven't learned to be vulnerable, to try to compromise when it's my way or the highway, or there's no willingness to work through things or go to therapy or meet in the middle somehow, it gets tricky. And then one person is left unheard and unloved, and it may turn into a woman appearing as scornful, but what happened for her to get there? There's a time and a place to talk about that, for us to go, not every woman that is called scornful is scornful. Not every woman that is referred to as nagging is truly nagging. A lot of times men and women miss each other because women are longing for this connection, to be seen and heard. A man wants to be respected, and our love languages and our communication styles are very different. And then you add in different personality types, culture, upbringing, and it gets messy real fast. But like I said, I don't want to run the risk of talking about, well, what does it mean to be a scornful woman? And let's talk about how she became that. This is a song that is putting in a powerful musical composition, and with so much rasp, grit, emotion, so much crescendo, putting in song in song the pain that men are feeling. So I don't want to, make this about women. And just as much as there are men out there who have made bad choices and have caused a lot of pain, the same goes for women. There are women out there who genuinely are choosing to be bitter, to be scornful, who are malicious, manipulative, who are causing hurt. And I could see this type of song being received very well, resonating with a lot of hurting men who are desperate for someone to take them serious, who are desperate for someone to tell their side of the story. Where when the kids do end up with the woman and she gets the house and everything's burned down to shreds, and now he's back to having lost everything, like the lyrics say, back to just making bare minimum and living in the woods somewhere with your dog. Your kids were taken, your home is taken, the love of your life is gone, everything's in shambles. A lot of men don't have that tendency as quickly to necessarily go on social media and blast everybody or to make it a thing. A lot of men, they continue suffering in silence and then just try to figure out how to survive, especially when the message has been, don't be too emotional and don't cry about it. And you're not manly if you have a meltdown, right? A woman is expected to be very emotional, and we don't necessarily judge a woman as fast when she's emotional and has a breakdown. But when a man snaps, that's, deemed violent or dangerous or concerning. And there's not as much freedom to talk about that plight. That's not to say that a lot of women aren't suffering in silence. There's songs for that. There's conversations we have about that, and a time and a place. But I think a lot of men, especially after they've been hurt, when they're too wounded to talk about it, especially not to mention publicly, representation matters. There's something about being seen and heard, and for someone to put in song what you've endured, what you've experienced. And I like Oliver Anthony's music because it's very raw. Richmond, North of Richmond did that. Now Scornful Woman. These are songs that are very real, very relatable to your everyday person, your everyday man. And It's heavy. It's painful. A lot of men out there hurting. How does it feel for all of you men out there to be listening to a review of this song by a woman? How does that affect you? Do you feel like there is any benefit to a woman reviewing a song called Scornful Woman? When do you feel there's a time and a place to talk about both sides of that conversation? Who did what led to what? What does a scornful woman mean to you? Have you experienced that? And to you ladies out there, how does it make you feel when you have a song, you hear a song like that? How does it make you feel to pause for a second and for us to hold ourselves accountable and go, okay, what are we doing to the men in our lives and in this world? And how can we do better to uplift them so we can have strong fathers and strong husbands? What can we do as women to lift up the men around us, to not tear down and destroy, not to be scornful? Talk to me in the comments. Heavy song, emotionally, the composition, the lyrics, and it's just blowing up right now. And I think there's a good reason for it. People are hurting. A lot of men out there are hurting and they long to have a voice. And Oliver Anthony's given your everyday human being, especially now with this one, your man, a voice with pain that they've endured. Talk to me in the comments. This one's trending. Subscribe if you want to go around the world and experience more music with me. I'll see you on the next ride. Ayo!